Welcome to HR Success Talk, a global platform of over 150,000 HR professionals and business leaders, with a presence in 11 countries including India, the UAE, USA, Ghana, Saudi Arabia, the United Kingdom, and more. We believe in creating exceptional workplaces through collaboration, learning, and meaningful conversations that drive growth. HR Success Talk is built on a simple idea: growing together. Here, you grow professionally while helping others grow. Build connections for networking, career advancement, business collaborations, and mentorship. With more than 70,000 followers on Facebook, 29,000 on LinkedIn, 60,000 plus active website users, and 36 plus WhatsApp groups, we ensure you're always part of the conversation. Our events are designed to bring people together through both offline and virtual formats. Offline events include HR conferences, conclaves, roundtables, and workshops designed for in-depth learning and face-to-face collaboration. Our virtual events include webinars, online HR meets, and talk shows, bringing accessible insights right to your screen. HRST Elite Club is an exclusive community of senior HR and business leaders from key cities. These are focused, closed-door sessions for strategic leadership exchange and real-world problem-solving. Through our Future Leaders Club, we prepare emerging professionals to take on leadership roles by offering mentorship, structured learning, and networking. With over 250 HR meets, strong media recognition, and a global volunteer network, HR Success Talk is helping shape the future of HR and business. Whether you're a leader, learner, student, or mentor, there's a place for you at HR Success Talk. To get involved, write to us at deept.karana@hrsuccesstalk.com or visit www.hrsuccesstalk.com.
So, good evening, everyone. Myself, Vidushi, and I am a manager growth strategist at HR Success Talk. I welcome you all today to our today's session of Voices That Matter, Edition 2. And this is our edition of Pune chapter. So, for today's session, I would like to introduce our session sponsors, which are Talent on Lease, Cognify, Cyberism, Amrita Devi Foundation, and Incredible Workplaces. I would like to introduce our session moderator, Mr. Daya Prakash. He will be the moderator and host of the session today. So, Mr. Daya Prakash, over to you.
Thank you so much, Vinesh. Thank you so much. Thank you, HR Success Talk. Thank you, all the other partners, for kind of organizing this particular session today. Hello, everyone. My name is Daya Prakash, and I'm the founder of Talent on Lead, which is basically an AI-powered tech hiring platform, providing techies on demand. In today's session, we are going to have discussion with the esteemed speakers that we have, which I will introduce all of you in just about a minute or so. But just to let you all know, the topic of the discussion today is the 90-day talent problem, why most hiring decisions are already obsolete, and especially with our esteemed guest today who comes from the IT industry. This is even a bigger challenge today in the industry. If you look at it, this challenge overall versus this challenge with regard to the IT industry. And we are going to have this discussion saying that if there is this 90 days hiring, which is 3 months notice period, kind of a scenario, how companies are supposed to kind of act at pace that you know the current business dynamics demand from the leaders or the organizations. So I think the discussion is going to be an interesting discussion today. But to start with that discussion, let me invite my panelists here and request them to introduce themselves one by one. To start with, I would like to invite Ms. Smita De. Ms. Smita Dey.
Good afternoon, everybody, and hello to my fellow panelists who will be joining in a bit. My name is Smita, and I work as a Vice President HR in Boomang Ventures. It's a group of companies that I take care, and today we are going to talk about the perennial headache that we have around hiring. I'm sure it's going to be a very, very inspiring and informative and productive discussion. So, looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Smita, for joining in today. Let me now invite Mr. Mohit Chadha and request him to introduce himself. Mr. Mohit Chadha. Okay. Looks like he's having little trouble in joining us. But in the meantime, let me invite Ms. Ruby Bakshi.
Hey all, good evening there. I'm really excited to be here and I'm really excited to even interact with such an esteemed panel today. I think recruitment as a function has really changed first with COVID, the great resignation, and now with AI. So, it's been hammering ever since. And I'm really looking forward to fruitful talks with all of you. Thank you. I do,
Excellent.
sorry, just to introduce myself,
Yeah.
I'm based out of Pune. I work with an IT services organization and I head the talent engagement and development. I have, also worked in recruitment in the past. So I've seen different functions evolve and how they correlate with each other. So really looking forward for this fruitful discussion.
Same here. Thank you so much, Ruby, for taking out time today. May I now invite Mr. Mohit Chadha?
Everyone.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Welcome, Mohit.
thanks. Thank you, Mr. Dea. Let me myself, Manish Datta.
Manish, sorry. I'm
It's
extremely
completely
sorry.
fine.
Yeah.
It's completely okay. So,
Yeah.
guys, hi. Thank you for having me over here. I come with diverse HR experience across different industries like real estate, IT, alcohol manufacturing, and over the year of experience, I've been to the different roles like a talent strategy, large scale scaling, workforce management around different business environments. So what I constantly learned over all the industries that like the core talent challenges today remain the same, either it's any industry it is. So we need to be like on that to be speed onto the hiring, adaptability, evolving skill demands. So I'm just looking forward to sharing some more practical insights from my journey in going ahead session. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Mohit. Thank you so much. And I think with that, a quick introduction, it's time actually that we are going to talk about this topic. So it becomes all the more important for me to kind of know each one of you a little bit more in depth. So if you can help me understand your journey, overall kind of the experience that you bring in, so that audience here can really understand what is the kind of valuable input that they are going to receive through this session today. But Mohit, Manish, sorry, once again. But if you can take a little bit of time to help us understand your journey, maybe
Sure.
career graph. So that will definitely help highlighting the industries that you would have worked and different kind of roles that you would have played. And this is the request to Smita, after you, Manish, and to Ruby as well.
Definitely.
So I'll go first. I have around 18 years of experience in the people industry, as I call it. I don't, conform to a particular industry because when you talk about any work, it's always about people. So in terms of the domain that I have worked and I have learned, mostly around software and hardware, IT industry. And I started my career with a company called Tomax, which is now Salesforce. And that was in Bangalore. So obviously, starting of the career, it's more of the handy job, and I was a senior executive at that time. But I always treat that experience as a ground laying experience where I actually got the hands-on learning opportunity as to how to work with the overseas team and interact with very senior leadership, also interact with the CEOs and CTOs, so I got that very good exposure over there. And after that, of course, I moved on in my career. And right now, when I look at my journey, I would say that I have worked very closely and partnered very closely with very senior stakeholders, essentially MDs and CEOs. And I have worked very closely with them in terms of scaling up the businesses, and not only from the people perspective, but also in terms of the environment, the infrastructure, policy harmonization, cultural integration. I have also worked very closely in when I was working with Hero. There was a post-merger environment, and that's a very tough environment to actually be. And while the business was very was in the forefront of integration of the business, the people side was definitely lacking. So I really had to be that influencer. Now we have the term that can be used as influencer. At that point in time, we didn't have this word. So taking the digital native lingo right now. And so I became that influencer, wherein it was not only a formal role but also an informal role. So I look back at my journey as a person who has really collaborated with very higher ups in the organization right from the beginning of my career. That can be termed as fortunate or even unfortunate, because unfortunate why I say is because I had never gotten a very structured hands-on HR grooming from a HR, particular technically HR leader. But on the other side, if I look at it, I became the business HR from day one. And my journey from that transactional HR to that transformational HR, where I became the business HR, was very, very natural. So, yeah, all good. God has given
Excellent,
me
excellent,
good
excellent,
steps.
Smita. And you mentioned a couple of dimensions. You mentioned about the importance of the culture. You mentioned about the alignment with the business, and you mentioned so many other things. Like, it's not just a plain vanilla recruiter role, but it is about how do you grow your business. So it's not focusing on the functions, but focusing more on the organization, aligning with it. So it is great to know your overall journey, and really looking forward to this conversation and learn from your practical experiences. But at this point of time, let me come to Manish and request Manish to kind of share his journey with all of us.
Sure, my pleasure, sir. So I must say I'm a cocktail. No, don't get surprised. I'm going to serve you something like a cocktail over here. But yes, I'm like from my initial educational background is the hotel management. It's a past 20 years back, 2 decades back. I've been to the industry in 2006. Started my journey as an hotelier. I work with a good brands, top notch. I can say Taj, Hyatt, Sayaji, Indore. So, but later I felt like after 2 years spending on the industry, like the management thing is which always motivates me to get into the management roles or kind of a corporate glimpse which I see into the or like the events or the some like the corporate parties and all. So that motivates me to get into like MBA and get into the management people instead of be like a more into the service industry. So I started my career like it's been almost now 17 years into the industry as an HR. Initial my first company was the real estate industry. Real estate, whenever we say it's a like non-systematic industry till date. Now it's improving, no doubt, after RERA introduced into the market. But before that, I spent a good 6 years into that industry where I get to interact with the Salesforce team, which is always been a kind of a target-based job. See, if we have some employees as an HR, our major role is to get the mindset of the people because we are the people, we are the HR. HR is just a term, but yes, we are people. We know how to get, how to understand, how to listen. So from there, I understand what the sales team, what sales people thought process, what their way of working are into the industry. Then luckily, I get a chance back to my own industry, that is again hospitality. I associated with the Shipra Group, and heading their three different properties altogether. One is the business hotel Mosaic, one is the tourist destination Mosaic Masuri, and one is the our traditional hotel that was in the Alwar Hive. So at that moment, I was so happy like to be in again with my touch with my own industry people, but the challenges and space are totally different. The people are 24 by 7 on a single hand ready to serve you guys, serve us also. And the mentality, the working way, the culture is totally opposite to the Salesforce team. They're always smiling whatever they face, but they have a industry norms is you have to smiling face like a front office. Even it's in my blood also still. So there again, I get into like the people need to be upskilled because they know like what hardworking is. But why to upgrade? What the skills are needed as per the need of the industry and the norms? So there I explored that and I did my best over there. Then I moved to one of the companies, the Team Computers. They are into the IT segments, and there I get to know people, I must say, not into the because they're a smart worker. I'm not comparing any people, but yes, my managers are more smarter because they are all tech backgrounds. They know like how the things get into the smarter way, not into the lengthy way, not into that way. So there I get to interact with the people who have that kind of a mindset up. That is also great learning for me into that industry. Laterally, I got a chance to work in an alcohol manufacturing company. So by alcohol, please don't get into that. I'm going to tell you like alcohol about, but yes, it's a completely different setup where I get to the manufacturing, a labor kind of a employees, what their mind setup is, what union is all about, how to take the union part, how to understand their needs and their things, which is not easy for a corporate HR to be very honest. It's totally a different part of the I was challenged to I learned, I implemented. Now at present, I'm into the IT and architecture. It's again a new ball. And the best thing, what I faced in my career, which I love to answer one single question, why you think you're a fit for the job and it's a different industry. I always say it's my experience will answer you because I started from real estate. Today I'm sitting onto the architecture. So this is all about me and looking forward to have a good deep discussion. Thank you.
Great, Manish. And the last point that you spoke about is something that we are going to capture in our discussion later on. That do you hire for skill, you hire for attitude, you hire for degree, you hire for pedigree. So, all that discussion that we are going to have a little later in the conversation. But thank you so much for your introduction. May I now request Ruby to kind of introduce herself?
Thank you. As I mentioned, it's really an honor to be here, and it's really interesting to hear my co panelists with such interesting journeys that they have had. I come with 24 years of work experience, and I started my career with recruitment with L&T Infotech way back in the 2000s. And I worked for rigorous recruitment for very niche skills in their largest insurance SBU, and worked very extensively besides that also in Mars campus hiring, maybe at 2000 at a level at one go. So that gave me just a kickstart right at the start of my career, where it used to be 14, 16 hours of work in a day. I moved on to a BPHR role with Mindtree. And there I actually understood a different dimension of not as a recruiter, but understanding more so about strategy, business, how HR can influence, and how do you people manage. Again, I was very lucky to have worked with one of their largest BUs in the Microsoft ODC, where you also have an interaction and understand how ODCs work. So that was a lovely opportunity that I had. Mindtree is known for its culture, and when I was working with them, it also kind of instilled a very different angle to me, which was more about culture and engagement. I used to handle the Pune Center engagements for them, which was appreciated by Mr. Subrakto Bakchi, the founder himself. And after that, I took a little sabbatical for personal reasons, moved cities, and the workaholic that I was, I couldn't sit back at home, and I thought that though I'm at home, there's something that I need to do. And this culture thing, this people and engagement kind of a thing, always pushed me to look at two different perspectives that I wanted to cover. One was wanting to get into understanding people's psychology, and I ended up getting into an extensive certification of 6 months in psychological counseling, which really, really helped me later in my career. And this further probed me to also get into another stream, which was into coaching. And I ended up taking up an international ICF coaching certification. So that is something that I say that as a stopgap, not to feel guilty about the 2 years gap that I had. I did at least something. And when luck would have it, I got to head HR in an e-learning organization, um, right from creating processes and starting from scratch and building the HR setup in this e-learning company. And because of my passion for wanting to coach, I got a very interesting opportunity in Bombay, where there was a group of schools and institutes which was looking out for an HR with a psychological coaching background, wanting to transform the entire learning methodology and culture of the organization, where their teachers and their lecturers did not want to adapt to technology. This is around the 2016, 17, 15, that kind of time. And it was, though I come from a more IT kind of a background all throughout, I literally plunged into this very challenging opportunity that I got, because it was more to do with the people mindset and pushing them towards technology and such. um, Cutting that short further, as personal things would have it, I came down to Pune again, and ever since that, there was a very unique role that was there for me. So currently I head um, learning and development on the behavioral side. I head the DEI initiative at Havenger. I look after internal communication and the culture branding, and I also take care of the entire people engagement camp. So it has given me a spectrum to look at everything from different lenses of the HR function, and I consider myself extremely lucky that it has started from recruitment to wherever I am today. Have learned perspectives of you know um, people and culture and learning and recruitment and so on and so on. Happy.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Subin. And quite an extensive experience that you have. One thing I could realize from each one of you from your introduction, that you know each one of you have kind of worked very very closely with the business, right? So what I'm really looking forward to, a great insight from each one of you, because you represented the business very very closely. You've worked with them very closely, and you've enabled businesses in whatever role that you have taken up in your respective organization. So I think with that introduction, the people who are attending this webinar will also must have gotten some idea as to what is the kind of rich experience that each one of you bring in this discussion, and what is the kind of takeaways that they can expect to get from this particular webinar, this particular discussion. So I think one question that I want to ask each one of you is that I hear a lot from the industry saying that hiring is a big problem, and I was actually talking to someone yesterday, and the conversation was that when you go about hiring, and when there is this D-Day, when the person is supposed to join, something or the other happens, and that joining does not happen. So everything he says is possible to happen, but joining, the probability is very very low, right? So and we said that the kind of population that we see increasing, and the kind of news that we hear from candidates on the last day of the joining or on the D-Day of joining, the population should not be rising at such level, because everybody has an excuse that there is a death in the family, which is very very common, but that's the practical world that we live in. and you guys are handling it day in, day out, right? My question to you is that what's your take on this 90 days or 3 month notice period, right? And if you can talk about that and give your reasons, it's just that, I really want to get a pulse of the industry, right? And each one of you working very closely with the business would definitely have that business side in mind. But what's your take on this 90 days or 3 month notice period? And we could start with maybe we could start with you, Smita, and then followed by Ruby and Manish. But let's start this discussion and make it very interesting.
So, thank you, sir. So, I think this nightmarish experience we all have gone through. एक बार ना एक बार तो हुआ ही होगा हम सबके साथ, and we have experienced it. And especially coming from IT software environment, I'm sure Ruby has definitely, seen that. Having said that, coming to this 90-day period that we are talking about, I think it is all about the effect that a particular role brings onto the business. Now, for a particular role wherein it is a fairly senior role, maybe you require a certain level of notice period because you have to have a larger roles in terms of transition, and that could possibly be reasonably accepted. But I also feel there is an other angle to it wherein you have not been probably documenting your work well. That is why you would require that long of a handover process, which is traditionally called handover process. And also I've seen people using very jargonized words like hoto. So the mother of all issue here is, as a structure, as a process, as a system, I think we lag in many manner in documenting the work that we are doing. And tomorrow, if I were to give a handover, what are the critical areas that I'm struggling with? See, any person, let's say tomorrow I move out from this role and somebody is filling in my position, that person will also have a handy experience. Person can get a hang of the thing that I am doing. But what do I in fact should be giving that person? I should be giving him the challenges that I'm facing and what challenges he or she is inheriting. you know so I have to give him the top critical areas. Dude, these are the critical areas I am really struggling with. These are the important major critical stakeholders you need to take care of. These are the vendors who are I am currently working with. So those are the critical information that needs to be passed over. And this is important where we are looking at a position wherein yes, there is a very business critical, business important impact. But an intern, if he is interning with us and he has a even 15 days notice period, I don't think that's really required and necessary for all those roles which do not bring direct business impact or is customer facing or maybe inward facing, wherein there is a lot of stakeholder management. I think we should have a very very reasonable notice period, assuming that you have a well documented repository of the work or the role that you are doing. So
Right.
for me, the 90 days work notice period, I think it's an obsolete idea right now. I would want to put it in a manner. And even for people who go on garden leave, we all have heard that
Yeah.
I think it is again a very futile time that the person and the company is spending with each other. uh,
Absolutely.
you get access to stuff, you do your work, you are obviously not working in silo, you are working with your business managers, I'm working with my CEO, he knows what I'm doing, and get on
Right.
with it because life is easy then. And then the friction that it brings along after
Right.
somebody has resigned, that becomes a little difficult to manage both sides. So
No, I
that's my
completely agree. I think, yeah, great insights, Smita. And in fact, when you're talking about this whole issue, I was also remembering days of my, corporate job in an organization where the philosophy was very simple. The moment a person is putting the paper, right, physically that person may be around, but mentally that person is not around. We yet make that person serve the full notice period? Is it work for the organization? And you mentioned the right thing actually, and you raised the right point here.
Sir,
Uh,
sorry, interjecting here
yeah,
very quickly. Uh, Suddenly, he also becomes turns and foe. From the
yeah,
organization's perspective, he turns into a foe. इतनी देर लंबा
yeah,
बंदे ने काम किया है, you just actually put everything out of the window. So yeah, as I
absolutely.
said, the relationship then becomes a little frictionless and then more difficult. It's difficult to manage.
Right. So, Ruby, if you can add to what Smita said on this, and Manish, you also please add to what now Ruby is going to say. We'll try to kind of make it a little quick so that we can get on to the next question, where I will come for detailed perhaps response from your side. But Ruby, anything that you would like to add
Yeah.
here?
There's something that I had read somewhere that any company which is hiring, we always put in that immediate joiners required. So, it's a effect that we are creating. So, if we are looking at immediate joiners joining us, how can we hold back people? The dynamics as such are really changing. And to one thing to add on to documentation, which Smita already has covered, is that practices like succession planning, at least at particular roles which are very
Yes.
critical in the
Mhm.
organization,
Mhm.
need to be
Absolutely.
a very, very thought through process. Anybody can go at any point in time. We've seen that post COVID, everything has suddenly shaken. The unexpected is happening right now. One of the things which my organization follows very rigorously is we've moved away from a quarterly or a biannually or annually appraisal kind of a thing. We have something wherein there are regular check-ins. So we have a continuous
Mhm.
performance management process. What this also does is that there is feedback and other key important details getting recorded, if not more, at least once in a month. It's ideally twice in a month, but at
Yeah.
least once in a month, which also is got to do with that if this person is not around, who is going to be doing this kind of work. So those things have to be thought through, I think. And as much as we are seeing people wanting to leave organizations, retention itself is out of the window these days. Where is there a policy now? Earlier I remember as recruiters, we would ask, oh, you've spent only 2 years in the organization and every 2 years you're jumping here to there. Now nobody asks that question. You will find that's a very obsolete question to have in itself. We
Yeah.
are okay with people working even for 3 months or 4 months in a company, so long as our business is met. So those thought
Mhm.
processes are getting changed completely. So I would say a very cautiously planned documentation process, not only from the performance perspective, but also the kind of work that that person is doing, the processes followed in projects that happen, and having a second in line who could work not only in case of a person thinking of an exit, but even simple things like what if a pandemic gets stuck again. We
Correct.
should be able, the show must go on. So we now need to get into that mentality that everything needs to be documented, the processes need to be in place, there has to be conscious succession planning that needs to come in. And holding on to a 90 days is become like a very traditional approach if companies are doing that now. That's it.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. All great points, Ruby. Thank you. Manish, quick take on this.
Sure, sure. I'll just you give a sweet and crisp answer because my co-panelists, Miss Smita and Miss Ruby, already covered the major points. Either it's a
Right.
documentation, either it's a policy or the practices. So, my just one thing to add on. First of all, like the culture. Culture is very crucial part in this role also. First, like how we understand our employees, because there's always a ways if you want to make someone like to be flexible to release or to flexible with hire also. In the terms of both the segments, I'll just give you one insight. If you want to hire someone, as Ms. Ruby already said, like immediate joiners we want. If most of the organizations which are renowned, they are ready for the buyout period, instead of giving the
Mhm.
pressure to the candidates to come immediate, because see they also have to look their economics also, they have their own set expenses, and they want opportunities also, and they don't want to lose the opportunity. responsibility. So either way, there must be some solutions which mutually can come, because 90 days, to be practical, up to some level, top notch, I can say, like CXO, COs level, there we can understand, yes, but there's a bad business, there's a stakeholder management, that things maybe take time to hand over the things. But yes, at the certain level of up to like some senior roles, there they can release. And secondly, about the culture, which I was saying, I saw a LinkedIn post recently where it was mentioned, if the person is in US, UK, or any other international countries they are living, they have a very good like great culture, greetings, okay, take care, be in touch, and like that. But in our place here, they create a more pressure on that. You have to do this, you have to do that. In the span of that period when there was employment was, that time the employee may be good or may be bad, whatever the performance depends. But if any organization do the succession planning timely, doing a quarterly reviews, annually reviews, succession planning always help our next one to stand on that position and also give a relief to the person who is looking or going for a new opportunity. So this is my insight on this.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Manish. Thank you so much. So one quick question, yes and no, right? Smita, I'll start with you again, Ruby and Manish maybe. So should there be a 3 month notice period? What I'm getting from you is that it's causing challenge for organization, each one of us as leaders, in the organization. But this 3 month notice period, do you think that this should continue? This should not continue? Simple yes or no? Simple yes or no?
No.
No, I can say no.
Ruby. No. Manish. Manish, we can't see
No,
you.
no.
Yeah.
No, no,
No.
from my
Okay. Great. So a thought, thought for everyone, food for thought, is that we all feel that the answer is no, but then I think the question that we need to ask ourselves is that, are we doing something about it, right? Are we raising this as an issue with the industry peers, industry at large, with the CEOs that at least we work with, so that we bring in that kind of understanding with them, saying that this is hurting more than helping organizations, right? So I think that's where I would expect all of us to kind of take that lead and discuss about it, and because it has been discussed, it has been talked about so long, but there is hardly any action on ground, right? So and it has to start from somewhere. So I'm expecting that with this discussion, this point coming up in this discussion, there is going to be some follow-up action also, and we will some point of time see some change in this stand in and I completely agree. It has to be balanced. Smita, you mentioned, Ruby, you mentioned, Mani, that there are certain roles where you can't afford to not have 90 days notice period. Have this 90 days notice period, but there are many roles where you're not required to have that 90 period notice they serve. So do away with that and have that agility come in to your organization and to other organizations as well, where everybody focuses on the business growth and not with this daily tussle or struggle with resource, immediate joiner and even a 3 months notice period. So I think we should get out of this situation. So one more thing that I wanted to kind of, and maybe I'll not ask this question to every one of you, but let's say Ruby, this particular question for you, that when we talk about this 90 days notice period, 90 days hiring cycle, typical hiring cycle, organizations had some plan that this is what annual operating plan. But with this 90 days notice period, half of the year is gone. So what happens to those annual operating plans? What happens, right? So how do you see that this is like, impacting? We've already discussed about it, but I mean, how this particular situation can be addressed, right? So now I'm actually looking for more of a solution-driven answer than that of problem, because problem we have discussed at length, right? So what could be the solution?
So I think the answer was already spoken about in the first question itself. We cannot have a one size fit for everybody. So 90 days, if we want to keep it, let it be for very critical senior roles, because we
Correct.
understand the dynamics and the business around it. Even if those are streamlined, maybe it may not be 90 days, could be much lesser. But at least for roles which are managerial level and below, certainly don't need to be 90 days. There are many engagement or intervention related interventions that can be done, wherein at an organization level, as a BPHR, I already know the pulse of my organization. So regular employee check-ins and talks can be done. There are now tools which so if I can name, there is Infido, or regular surveys that are done with the employees to understand that what is their pulse like right from their joining in. If the HR is really very cautious and keeps an eye on employees, understands if they are playing critical roles, are they key to the business or not. In fact, those kind of people should be treated at a level where you keep an eye on them, that what are their early warning signals, are they looking out for jobs outside. And today we have those tracking mechanisms. In my organization, if somebody is getting on to Naukri, I come to know that somebody has logged on to Naukri. That itself tells me whether the person is interested or not, whether they are attending any extracurricular activities. How do I see this month on month performance going up? So we have graphs and dashboards to show it, that how do I see this person's performance very closely. If he or she is very critical, it tells me the pulse of the person. These regular check-ins with them, the surveys that they answer, and so on and so forth about their activity, does let us know. I feel that an HR should be very, very conscious that who are my top performers, how do I keep an eye and treat them, and keep on check on these parameters, who are the key and critical people. And if there are general people who probably it's just a kind of an activity I need to do, as an organization we should know that we need to have different kinds of fits for different levels. As you mentioned, an intern also need
Yeah.
not serve a 15 days notice period, can be
Yeah.
much lesser. So how are you fine tuning those, taking of the handover? Is there a documentation process, which I've already spoken
Sure.
about?
Yeah.
So I think these processes will definitely help. That's my
Sure.
take.
So great point, Shruti. Great point. So Smita, let me come to you. Traditionally, if you look at, the organizations are, hardwired. And when I say hardwired, it is like, how big is the organization? How are you growing? There is only one parameter to kind of see, which is number of people being served in the organization, right? So if you have these many people, you're a small company. These many people, you're a mid-sized company. These many people, you're a large company, right? The whole definition of the size of the organization or the enterprise has been always associated with the people, right? If you look at current timing and the way the market is kind of behaving, I would say, and the kind of uncertainties it brings in, right? The other day, almost 2 years back, I was attending a conference in one of the hotels in Chennai by one of the community, and it was said that there is 30 people team producing maybe not 30, even 50 million USD kind of a turnover, right? So, I mean, the times are really changing. How are you seeing this kind of a shift where the organizations are looking at hiring, let's say, and hiring in bulk and growing or getting a feeling of growing because the number of people are growing versus the growth? How have the dynamics changed or shifted in your experience?
Sir, I think building on the span that we manage, which you mentioned, that if you are at this number, then you are a small company, and so forth, right? I think from a business perspective and also from a functional perspective of HR, we have to grow out of the fact that we're only counting numbers, whether it is number of people or whether it is revenue. Okay. I as a person, or I as a HR professional, I believe what we have to actually focus on is the impact.
Hmm.
Now, when I talk about impact, that impact we can generate, because right now, if you look at your own organization, we have a generational workforce.
Hmm.
Right now, the Gen Zs are coming in, and they are the bottom liners, maybe the entry level jobs they are getting into. We also have baby boomers, maybe they are sitting in our boards, right? We have the
Right.
Gen X, we have the millennials. So the impact has to be created by leveraging and harnessing that energy that comes from each of these generations. And this is one of the major shift that I'm seeing in last 1 year time at least, because when we are working with this generational workforce, there is also a lot of clash in terms of what is good, what is bad. Gen Z is
Right.
really getting into that, millennials are getting into that. So there has been a paradigm shift in terms of the impact that we are actually getting onto the table.
Correct.
So
And just
us,
to just get a sense on the impact that you're talking about, and impact is nothing but the, in my mind, I'm just trying to relate it to the productivity, right? How much productivity you are able to get, which helps organizations have a lean team, and then yet, reach a, size or a level, from a classification point of view, or even revenue point of view. And for the individuals who are serving the organization, what is the kind of role that they are playing? We are talking about all critical roles and not so critical roles, and the impact, the higher the impact, then the role is critical, and the lower is the impact, then the role is absolutely not critical. And uh,
so in one, you have a generational workforce which brings its own energy, and they have their own measure of performance, they have their own pace. In the mix of it, throw one of the very very big things that we are talking about all the time, technology. Look at
hmm,
how it has completely changed the landscape, right?
hmm,
Earlier we were talking about technology and we started working with Lotus Notes, then we came to Outlook and stuff like that. Today I think most of us actually, go to Claude or maybe Chat GPT and say, yeah, I have written this email. Can you just, make it passive aggressive? Can you just make it a little
absolutely.
more polite? We do all of
Yeah.
that and we do it. There is no harm in, accepting that. But
Yeah.
in interestingly, look at the mix where we are, and we are that generation which is the millennials, wherein we have
Hmm.
seen that advent of technology, and right now we
Right.
are sitting in decision making positions wherein every day we are making decisions with all these people, with all this energy, with all this attitude and approach. Plus we also have a huge player which is technology. So I
Correct.
think that's the major shift I have seen and experienced.
So excellent. Thank you so much. Manish, coming to you, and you spoke about your experience, you spoke about your experience working with the Salesforce and those dynamics that you've spoken about, right? I mean, I was, recently having a conversation with somebody, and, I got to learn from the person saying that organizations today are not looking at, we already spoke about it, number of people that I would have to call myself as a large enterprise, a small or mid-sized enterprise. But what I will look for, the capacity that I need at any given point of time. Can I build that capacity dynamically, right? And especially when you took the example of Salesforce, and there are like various phases wherein you will need more and more Salesforce, and there will be lean periods where you don't need those Salesforce, right? Uh, how dynamically you are handling these kind of situations from a HR point of view, meaning there is this recruitment that you want to hire on roles and keep them with you versus have a flexible capacity, right? So what's your take on that, Manish?
I'm like, my take is very straightforward on that because, yes, as Miss Smita added, like the technology is added on. I'll just give you start with a one layman word. Like a decade back, technology was in our hand, like a mobile. Now it's in our mind, like a AI tools, because it started from a normal digitalization and then suddenly come up to the decision making things, because nowadays AI tools are impacting a more into each and every business sooner or later. I'm not saying immediate every industry go impact, but sooner or later, yes, every industry got impact with the view of decision making. And adding on to the hiring strategies, definitely we are not a HR nowadays. We are no more HR. We are more into the business stakeholders. We are one of the major departments who is always ready, like a salesperson, to close the positions, because position closing is a different part, and person come and join on the date is a different. And secondly, if I talk about the current landscape, if you going for a fundamental one, it's totally different. Earlier 90 days, it's okay, but nowadays business needs gonna change. We can't wait anyone for 90 days to come join and start learn and deliver the things, because in 90 days market change, market revolves, technology revolves, AI tools revolves, everything is get upgraded. So what today is my need is not my tomorrow the same need is. So first of all, we have to analyze that. Now come up to the strategy what we can do, because not always 90 days work, not even 60 days also work, and not sometimes a business need can accommodate that particular resource for a longer term. So we have to get into a different models. Like first maybe can go for the freelancer kind of a open thing. If your industry, if your company, if your organizations, your need, business need can accommodate that, go for a freelancing. There are so many freelancers nowadays, either a tech or non-tech, anywhere. There's so many websites come into the picture. Earlier it's limited fever or something like that, but there's now AI itself, so many sites. Apart of that, you can go for the consultants model. Simply sign a 1 year contract or 11 months contract, because now even in our compliances also, if we share, like government also supporting the on contract employees, so that will also enhance in both the ways, as government also supporting, and we can also giving their compliance ways plus as per our business needs. Later if we want, we can continue depending upon the needs. Third is the consultant model. One more way, like we can hire on the project basis. If we are a company who work on a client projects, simply we can hire on a particular rate wise, per hour rate or something like that, and simply sign a particular project. Whenever the need is come, they will reach you out, and you have to spend these particular hours, and team or HODs will evaluate your work, whatever it is, your timesheet will be submitted. So these are the ways by which a HR can make a things easier. Plus there's no issue of like thinking of notice period, whether the candidate will join or not, whether we can retain or not, whether it will be their training part or not. Because for our own role employees, we always focus on learning and their developments, not only just hire kiya and khatam. Because nowadays people and to Miss Smita, Gen Zs are much smarter than millennials, not in the way of learning, but in the way of growth. We people also believe on, but we believe पहले learn करते हैं, because every we are HR, we see anyone always say we are looking for a change for learning and growth, for learning and growth. They don't have the guts to simply say we are looking for growth, because it's a direct attack onto the questions from the HR perspective and the organization also. But yes, nowadays Gen Zs, and now Gen Z is also slightly back to now alpha is coming into the, who are into the college, they are alpha.
Sure.
Even they don't want to be like micromanagement things to them. Even they want a growth, they want a financials, and they want a work-life balance. Work-life balance, we always talk about in company, we do engagements and all, but truly we all knows still companies started it, and there's so many time needs to get onto that way to actually achieve that work-life balance. That only possible when we truly appreciate reward, plus along with understand the business need as an not as an only HR, as a business HR person, plus suggest to our organizations what is the best solution for this hiring. If you want just for a project for a shorter period, don't hire any full-time employee, it impact us also and you also. So this is my overall as a strategy.
Thank you so much, Manik. Thank you so much. You made some great points. And I think both Smita and Ruby, they also made some great points. I think the discussion that we were having today, and I'm just trying to sum it up because, in the interest of the time, I know that each one of us will have to be kind of on the road now, on the, thick of, peak of traffic, and, we'll have to deal with that situation. So I don't want to kind of delay everyone a lot, but just to, summarize the whole, discussion that we had, which is about 90 days, and is it helping, hurting? I think that's the context that we were evaluating this particular aspect, and a general sense that I'm getting is that each one of us, we really appreciate that. I think it's not helping as much as it is expected to help, rather hurting us as businesses, as businessmen. We're not talking anything personal, but as businesses, right? So that's the sense I take. I get from this discussion. The other, sense I get from the discussion is that gone are the days where it used to be you hire more people and then you are called a large organization. It is more to do with impact than numbers, right? So that's the point that Smita made. Ruby also made a very, very important point in terms of, identifying those employees within the organization who basically play a critical role. In my mind, those are the core employees, and the others are where you would have, people come in and play their role and then go, and then someone else will come, take up the job, play their role, go. It doesn't matter actually. So I think as an organization, we really need to focus on those people who are committed on long-term basis in terms of having the alignment. And going back to Smita's impact, you cannot have people playing critical roles but not like culturally aligned with the organization in the long run. That will also not last long. There will be sooner or later there will be disconnect and there will be the situation that we will have to face. But I think interesting how the overall scenario or market dynamics are improving. Interesting conversation we had, and it calls for a lot of deliberation, introspection at each one of us, our own respective kind of part to kind of see how do we deal with this kind of a situation. But with that, before I say thank you to each one of you, you are welcome to add anything that you want to add so that everyone attending this webinar is enriched and goes back with some good takeaways. Right. So a very quick comment from maybe Smita, you, Ruby, you, or Manish from your side. But you know.
How I see it is that there is no statistical solution to it. It is a management situation and has to be managed. So, in my personal view, management is diagonally opposite to statistical solutions. It is an ongoing situation with all of us, and as we all know, change is the only constant. Today we have this, tomorrow we will have Gen Alpha, then we will have Gen Beta coming in. So yes, I think it's a changing landscape and we all have to adapt to it and chug along, and with new day comes a new challenge and with a new day comes a new solution also. So I think that's the spirit I would like to sign off with.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Thank you, Smita. Thank you, Smita. Ruby, any
I
comments
think
from your side?
yeah, it's very tricky with diverse generations working together. One thing that I often hear people say is that they over criticize the Gen Z, but what we are not realizing is that year on year they are going to add more in numbers and the others are going to really move out of the organization. So creating a culture which is being more inclusive, where each one is heard and felt, and everyone is made to feel motivated to create an impact. I think that is something we all should work towards as HR leaders, because if we are able to handle, we have two things coming in post COVID at the same time. One is a very changed mindset, and one is the
Mhm.
AI, which is blowing in. So and both of them are really charging in at the same time. So we have I've seen many business leaders saying that, I don't like it the way it happens today, or I don't like Gen Z. I think that's not the way out. We need to work out solutions which say that everyone matters and they are going to, in fact, increase in numbers. So we need to kind of encourage them more and hear them and create a ecosystem where everybody can coexist, where they understand the older generations. At the same time, we do appreciate all that we bring in. That's my take on it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this reminds me of one conversation I had in one of the conferences, and it was again about Gen Z and our ability to work with them and our own impression of them, being them. And I just happened to ask one question, and everybody went blank. And I just asked one simple question saying that have we spoken to them to know what drives them? Right? There is only one this question that I asked, and the whole conversation in the room was like this, that, and all that, and everybody realized that you know let's not assume people maybe at different generations have gone through different situations and have a different set of thinking. But when it comes to Gen Z, they are, in some sense, they are born in a situation where they are not dealing with the basics of, the physics, the Maslow's hierarchy, the one or two or three pillars, basic pillars actually. So all we need to do is we need to spend some time, understand what drives them, and once we have figured that out, I think everybody wants to perform. Everybody wants to perform. Everybody wants that. The impact Smita spoke about. Everybody wants to create an impact. Who doesn't want to create an impact? So it's just that finding the right, I think, alignment and the purpose. That's missing actually, and that's where the organizing culture plays a very important role. Manish, last take from your side, and then I think I would
For
thank
sure.
you, all of you.
I
But
I love to summarize with just two bullet points. One is a good example, which I love to share. Like in comparison of Gen Zs, Alpha, Millennials, whatever the generation is, everything maybe gets settled, but yes, thought process always differ. If we take our own parents example, yes, we respect, we love everything, but yes, thoughts always clashes. And adding to on that Gen Z's, I'll just give example like fitness is not a one time effort. For fitness we need to do continuous work. Same way we need to upgrade our skills, either it's a Gen Z's, Alpha, whatever, or either we, because at certain after certain period of time they also reach that level where we are. So continuous learning, either any generation is, it's needed. And yes, from a business perspective, I love to summarize like future of work is not about having more people, it's about having the right candidates with the right capabilities. Because any
excellent.
organization master this balance of speed, skills, and flexibility definitely will lead the future.
Excellent, Manish. Excellent, actually. And there is no better way to kind of sum it up. The way you have summed it up and Ruby and Smita have summed it up. I would like to sincerely thank each one of you, and also thank, Amrita Devi Foundation, Cyberism, incredible workplaces, Cognify, for kind of powering this particular session, and HR Success Talk giving Talent on Leave me this opportunity to moderate this discussion and help me learn from my industry colleagues who are the practitioners and not the academic world, but real life examples through your own practical experience. So for me personally, it has been a great, enriching, and learning experience, and I couldn't say more. But thank you to each one of you for sparing your time, coming to this particular discussion. I love to stay connected with each one of you offline as well. But thank you so much once again. Thank you so much. Over to you, Videshi.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.